Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry, I am also, this is going to be an interesting video to film because it's a little later than I normally film. And Naomi, my co-host for the podcast, is actually at a library book sale texting me books she finds. Because if you don't know, one, I have a podcast, and two, we send each other books all the time that we have thrifted because thrifting is like our #1 hobby. Thrifting books is our jam. But anyway. That is not the point of this video. The point of this video is for me to stop shaking the camera and to talk to you guys about my March hopefuls. So I've shopped my shelves, I've pulled some things off, and these are the books that I'm hoping to read in March, or that I'm least focusing on in March. So let's do that. We'll start with a couple books that I'm already reading, including I did receive an ALC from Libro. Thank you so much, Libro. If you guys don't use Libro, they are an amazing audiobook service that when you buy audiobooks, you're actually funding small independent bookstores as opposed to funding Amazon. And I cannot say that I will ever be Amazon free in my life. I think it's like it's an insidious and necessary evil of our lives. But I like to do what I can where I can, and I love Libro. So Libro actually sent me a copy of All My Rage by Saba Tahar. Tahir? I think that's how you say her last name. I've been listening to it. It is fantastic. I'll read you a little bit of the description here from Goodreads. Lahore, Pakistan then. Mishba is a dreamer, a storyteller, newly married to Tufik in an arranged match. After their young life is shaken by tragedy, they come to the United States and open the Clouds Rest Inn motel, hoping for a new start. Juniper, California now. Sal and Noor are more than best friends. They are family growing up as outcasts in the small desert town of Jupiter, California. They understand each other the way no one else does until the fight, which destroys their bond with the swift fury of an exploding star. Now Sal scrambles to run the family motel as his mother Mishba's health fails and his grieving father loses himself in alcoholism. Noor, meanwhile, walks a harrowing tightrope, working at her wrathful uncle's liquor store while hiding the fact that she's applying to colleges so she can escape him and Juniper forever. When Sal's attempts to save the motel spiral out of control, he and Noor must ask themselves what friendship is worth and what it takes to defeat the monsters in their pasts and the ones in their midst. From today's most cherished and best-selling young adult author comes a breathtaking novel of young love, old regrets, and forgiveness. It is very tragic and poignant and tender and engaging and sad, and it's so good so far, and I can't wait to have a moment to actually sit and listen to it some more. Super, super good. And then another audiobook that I have on hold and should be available soon is The Violence by Delilah Dawson. And this is a new thriller that came out. It says a mysterious plague that causes random bouts of violence is sweeping the nation. Now 3 generations of women must navigate their chilling new reality in this moving exploration of identity, cycles of abuse, and hope. And that's all I'm going to read for you guys. But that sounds really, really good, and I'm super excited to read it. Hopefully it's as good as I feel like it's going to be, but we'll see. And then I'm also currently reading Goliath by Tochi Anabuchi. It's weird in a very interesting and thought-provoking way. And I know that Angela from Literature and Science Alliance has a review on her channel of this, and I would really like to finish this and then watch her review and then get my thoughts mix my thoughts in with hers, because there's a lot in this. This is his debut adult novel, and it's a sci-fi, and I'll read you a bit at the back. It says, in the 2050s, Earth has begun to empty. Those with the means and the privilege have departed the great cities of the United States for more comfortable confines in space colonies. Those left behind salvage what they can from the collapsing infrastructure. As they eke out an existence, their neighborhoods are being cannibalized brick by brick. Their houses are sent to the colonies. What was once a home, now a quaint reminder for the colonists of the world that they wrecked. A primal biblical epic flung into the future, Goliath weaves together desperate narratives. A space dweller looking at New Haven, Connecticut as a chance to reconnect with his spiraling lover, a group of laborers attempting to renew the promises of Earth's crumbling cities, A journalist attempting to capture the violence of the streets, a marshal trying to solve a kidnapping, into a richly urgent mosaic about race, class, gentrification, and who is allowed to be the hero of any story. And so far, I am like just about halfway through, and it's been a very interesting read. I don't think I've read a sci-fi that is quite like this, where usually it's, like we've fucked up the earth and now we're in space, and yes, we're there, but this is about the people that left behind. And there's this weird nostalgia from the colonists about, oh, remember what Earth was like. And they keep like these little towns and houses, these nice little quaint, suburbs vacant and guarded off in case people want to come back to Earth, or like for certain people to have as homes, and then everybody else kind of lives in like sort of a ghettoized world. It's very interesting. There's drug use and just it's very 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 interesting. I don't I need to finish it and then I can collect my thoughts on it. But so far I am enjoying it. We'll see how I feel by the time we get to the end and after I watch Angela's review, because I really like her. If you don't follow her on YouTube, Literature Science Alliance. She has really, I'll tag her down below. She has really great reviews. She's fantastic. And then the other thing I have here that I'm reading, and you may have seen this on Instagram, is that I'm currently still reading The Widow Queen. This is supposed to be like a historical fantasy. It's translated from the Polish. It's the first in a duology, and only this is translated. And it's the history of Poland and sort of Europe from that perspective in the 900s. And it's more just like historical fiction. I haven't seen outside of so far. The closest thing I've gotten to a fantasy element is a bunch of the characters took a bunch of shrooms, and that's as close as we got to magic, was magic mushrooms. But perhaps it is kind of fantasy. I'm not really sure. But I'm enjoying it, but I don't know a lot about this history, so it's a little bit more of a struggle for me to connect with it. I know that Jesus would absolutely love it because this whole Viking Saxon, this whole period is something that he would totally, he knows all about it. He would be totally invested in this, and he would probably like this more than I do, like just from the initial like onset right at the gate, right out the gate. I think he would like it more. I can't talk. I took a nap today, and then since then I've been brain dead. I'm enjoying it. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully they translate the second book, because it'll be a bummer if they wait forever to translate the second book, because I'll forget all about this. But if you liked The Lost Queen, it's giving me kind of those vibes by Signe Pike. So if that's your kind of jam, pick this up. So, and this was Forge sent me this year, so thank you again, Forge. I feel like I've thanked them 1,000 times. For the 12 Women, 12 Countries, which is a challenge that's running all throughout the year with TBR Lowdown, the podcast and book club that I run with my co-host Naomi. We're reading 12 books throughout the year by 12 different women from 12 different countries. I'm focusing on doing translated works. Not everybody is doing translated works, but whatever floats your boat. But I got this book, which I think I've showed before, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Marina Enriquez. And this, I believe, is almost like a collection of short stories. It was shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year. A city thrums with murderous intentions, family betrayals, and morbid desires in this masterpiece of contemporary Gothic. Welcome to Buenos Aires, a place of nightmares and twisted imaginings where missing children come back from the dead and unearthed bones carry terrible curses. These brilliant, unsettling tales of revenge, witchcraft, fetishes, disappearances, and urban madness spill over with women and girls whose dark inclinations will lead them over the edge. And I'm kind of here for something short but dark and creepy, so we're gonna try these out. And then for other TBR Lowdown books, we have this month's book club pick is Homegoing by Yachi, and we're very excited to finally get this. I've read Transcendent Kingdom, and I guess I didn't realize when I first started reading it, and I was absolutely enthralled with it, I didn't realize that it was like a fictionalized memoir. Like, that's how real it felt while I was reading it. So now I just need to read anything that Yachi writes. So we were really excited to be able to pick because this is Women's History Month, a woman author, and we both get to finally check Homegoing off of our list. So I'll read you a little bit about this. It says, Ghana, 18th century, two half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of the other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort in the palatial rooms of the Cape Coast Castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and sold into slavery. Homegoing follows the parallel paths of these sisters and their descendants through 8 generations, from the Gold Coast to the plantations of Mississippi, from the American Civil War to Jazz Age Harlem. Yaa Gyasi's extraordinary novel illuminates slavery's troubled legacy, both for those who were taken and those who stayed, which is a nice take to have in there as well, and shows how the memory of captivity has been inscribed on the souls of our nation. So it just, and look how small this is. And she's gonna, how do you get all that into this tiny book? When I just read The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, and that thing's 800 pages, and kind of is taking on an even shorter, epically sweeping family tale in terms of time period, from start to finish. But I know she's gonna do a fantastic job. I have not heard one person be like, "Oh, I didn't like this book." So if you want to join us for that, there'll be a link down below. You can follow TBR Lowdown. We will be doing a live discussion this is the March book. In April, we'll do a live discussion of this if you want to join us. Basically, our live discussions are us filming a regular episode, but in that episode, we discuss the book we read for the book club. So we do that live, and then it'll go out as a regular episode, whatever the following Monday is, for anybody who may have missed it. So yes, we did our first one for our January pick recently, and we should be doing our February pick, which was Giovanni's Room, soon. So watch the channel. I'll announce it on the community tab, and so yeah, subscribe so you don't miss announcements. Anyway, so I also have a library hold came in, and I found this I thrifted this from the library too for $1, and that's Lauren Groff's Matrix, which I've heard so much about, and I've heard really mixed reviews about it. Sorry, something's creaking and it's creeping me out. So I'm really curious to see what this book is really about, and since for $1 I wasn't going to pass it up, and my audiobook hold came, so I'll read it this month. Equally alive to the sacred and the profane, Laura Groff's Matrix is a defiant and timely exploration of the raw power of female creativity in a corrupted world. Her first novel since the critically acclaimed bestseller Fates and Furies, which I still need to read, it is up there on the shelves. Matrix gathers currents of violence, sensuality, and religious ecstasy in a mesmerizing portrait of consuming passion, aberrant faith, and a woman whom history moves both through and around. I believe this includes nuns, and I don't know if they're debaucherous, but we're gonna try it. It's super short. If it sucks, it sucks. Yeah. I have 2 more books that I'm hoping my audiobooks will come in for, because I don't know if you realized, but I listen to almost every book on audiobook and read it physically, because I'm kind of always doing things, or I'm driving, I have a long commute, so it's just, I need to have both a hard copy and an audiobook, or at least an audiobook of every book that I read. So I also picked up at a different library book sale, not for $1, this signed edition of Dolly Alderton Ghosts, which I have wanted to read for a really long time, and I think my audio hold will come this month, so I'm putting that on this list. This is sort of a book about dating in your 30s. I'll read you the summary. But it's supposed to be phenomenal. Again, I've only heard really good things about it, and I'm super excited to finally get to read it. This is Nina Dean has arrived at her early 30s as a successful food writer with loving friends and family, plus a new home and neighborhood, when she meets Max, a beguiling romantic hero who tells her on date 1 that he's going to marry her. It feels like all is going to plan. A new relationship couldn't have come at a better time. Her 30s have not been the liberating, uncomplicated experience she was sold. Everywhere she turns, she is reminded of time passing, opportunities dwindling, friendships are fading, ex-boyfriends are moving on, and worse, everyone's moving to the suburbs. There's no solace to be found in her family, with a mom who's caught in a baffling midlife makeover, and a beloved dad who is vanishing in slow motion into dementia. This is a debut novel that just sounds like it's going to be sad and funny, and sort of darkly funny and engaging. And also, I've been single in my 30s, and it's a very strange world, so super excited for that. I also have Ember in the Ashes on deck, so now we're going to fantasy sci-fi, back to fantasy sci-fi, which I want to do more fantasy sci-fi, because I keep getting derailed into literary fiction, and I find it really weird that my 2 things that I like are literary fiction, fantasy. I'm like,
Assassin's blood, death.
Like poignant moving tracks.
I don't know how, like, that's how my brain works, but that's how my brain works. But anyway, so this is again by Saba Tahari. Tahir. I'm gonna get better at names, I swear. And this is Ember in the Ashes. It's the first in the Ember in the Ashes series. It's her YA fantasy, and I've heard only good things about this series, and I finally have thrifted the entire series. I got this from Barnes & Noble in one of their half-off sales, and it is it signed? I believe it is signed. So it's a signed edition from Barnes & Noble. It's their special edition, and then I managed to get the other 3 in this same cover, because I know there's a couple different covers. But I'm excited to finally get into this, especially now that I am reading All My Rage. I kind of have a better understanding of what her writing is like, and I'm excited to see how that plays into from contemporary to fantasy writing. So I'm excited to read this. And if for those of you who don't know what this fantasy series is about, Leia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, and neither are free. Under the martial empire, defiance is met with death. Leia and her family do not challenge the empire. They've seen what happens to those who do, but when Leia's brother is arrested for treason, she is forced to make a decision. In exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother, she will risk her life to spy for them from within the empire's great military academy. There, Leia meets Alice, the school's finest soldier, and secretly its most unwilling. He and Leia will soon realize that their destinies are intertwined, and that their choices will change the fate of the empire itself. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. I do like anything that has a school, and hopefully this doesn't take a turn. Like academy stuff I really like. I just hope that once we get out of the military academy, I'm still interested. That is always like a difficult thing for books to navigate for me, because I really enjoy that space. Oh yeah, and it's got this beautiful undercover too. It's a really difficult transition to navigate for me in fantasy, because I just enjoy like magical academies, military academies, like assassin schools, things like that so much that when they transition out of it, which inevitably they kind of have to, it has to be done in some way that I cannot articulate that is well for Alyssa. But anyway, and then my last 2 books are series I'm continuing. Series I'm continuing. And so it is time for me to read book 5 of Wheel of Time, The Fires of Heaven. I have mass market paperback here, and hopefully I can find myself a hard copy with the cheesy ass covers. I'm still thrifting those as I go along through the series. I have all the covers up to this, and I think I have book 9, but I'm making my way through it. I'm not going to give you any updates on that, because summaries on that, I mean, because that would be spoiling a bunch of stuff. And if you'd be interested in seeing like my take on the first 4 books in Wheel of Time, I would love to do a video for you guys, just kind of chatting about those first 4 books, because I have thoughts, and I don't know how I really feel about this series, but I'm going to keep going. And then on the flip side of it, I have Nemesis Games, which is book 5. Oh, interesting. I'm on book 5 of both of these. Book 5 of The Expanse. I have definitive feelings on this. I love this series. I don't have to question how I feel about The Expanse. The Expanse is fantastic. I'm going through this, and I'm acquiring them at the pace of my audiobook holds, because my library has all of them. So as I get a lot, as I finish one, I put the next one on hold, and when that hold comes in, I will go buy the next book. So I just picked up my copy of Nemesis Games. I had to delay my audiobook for like a week, but then I'm going to pick it up shortly, and I will start this one. So that is everything that I've shopped from my shelves for me to try to read in March. There's still a few things that are hanging over from February, but they're mostly small, and January actually. They're mostly small books, but we'll see. Maybe I'll try to wrap those up as well this month, but I don't know. It seems like this year everything seems to be going so quickly, and I feel like I've lost control of everything. So like, I don't know. Last year I was reading like a crazy person, and maybe it's because I was injured for the first 5 or 6 months of the year, like, and I have different pace to life. It felt different, and this year's just been, well, we all have had a crazy year. I'm not going to complain about my year, because there's a war going on. Those are the books that I'm trying to focus on reading this month. I don't really like to set hard and fast TBRs, but I do like to set aside a pile to just go through and pick up books as I feel like reading throughout the month, and I do like reading at the pace of my audiobook holds coming in from Libby because I don't know, it just kind of fits my mood reading. It's like, ooh, okay, so I'll change that up, and sometimes I just let Libby pick my next read. Let me know what you guys are trying to read for this month. I'd love to hear what you're reading. I'd love to know your thoughts on any of these if you've read them. If you're not already, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We are probably there. We're most definitely on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. You could leave a review over on Apple Podcasts for the podcast. That would be amazing. How many times can I say podcast? I don't know. We have new episodes come out every Monday, and you can listen to them, or you can watch the uncut version over here on my channel if you want to see all the shenanigans that comes up when Naomi and I are recording these episodes. Otherwise, I think that's all the housekeeping I have for right now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, hit the bell, all the nonsense, and I will see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go